Da ichiyamoka bamata piasa kenchawa marita kakro kakro poteta. Da oyuamoka bamata piasa kenchata marita harwa harwa kudaha tomata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi. Taro tarusa musesa wabadeda kenkakru wandaha tupakuba. Trawa bukaha harwa harwa kutaha kenchawa marita kakusa wabodeda. Tomata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi. Da ichiyamoka bamata piasa trata marita kakro kakro bodeda. Da uyuamoka bamata piasa trato marita harwa harwa kudaha tomata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi. Mata piken tomata pi. Tomata piken tomata pi.
We come across the Caribbean Sea, mother, father, pick me, and we settle down in GT. Why oh? We've been down on the coastal plain, in the hot sun of pouring rain, planting the rice and cane. Why oh? Yes, we take off the boots and we put on the roots. Why oh? So the crab was that grow and the SC cripple is we own. And the 6 o'clock bee and the Saki Winky is we own. And the lava that run from go by your gun is we own. And them all of our posts down the quarantine coast is we own. Wondering crab is we own. True leaping up is we own. Umanayana is we own. Fried Koraila is we own. Arapaima is we own. Umanayana is we own. Whether Grover, whether Pleasance, we do Pagua and Confidence, and we know how to wine and prance. Why oh? And we celebrate Diwali, and then time for Mashramani. It's party, party, party. Why oh? Yes, we know how to fet till the underwear wet. Why oh? So the crap out that grown, the Essequebo is we own. And the 6 o'clock bee and the Saki Winky is we own. And the lava that run from go by your gun is we own. And them all of our posts down the quarantine coast is we own. Wondering crab is we own. True Benab is we own. Umanayana is we own. Fried Koraila is we own. Arapaima is we own. Umanayana is we own. Chip, sugar cake and sawfish and bake is we own. Katahar curry and tupulari is we own. Marby and ice, black eyed peas and rice is we own. Coconut metachi and wiri is we own. Babula and lichan with the cutter in the hand is we own. And the tiger lily and the blue dashiki is we own. And Frankie Manise with the boom boom cheese is we own. And the lion town in Lee Funky Fong is we own. And the fellas in the tree seeing cricket for free is we own. And the brother in the night preaching Jordanite is we own. And Mary fall upon the seawall is we own. And the girl foot fine but large she behind is we own. So the crab was that grow and the Yessi cripple is we own. And the 6 o'clock bee and the Saki Winky is we own. And the lava that run from go by your gun is we own. And them Wallaby post on the quarantine coast is we own. Wondering crab is we own. Truly Benab is we own. Umanayana is we own. Fried Corilla is we own. Arapaima is we own. Umanayana is we own.
best of the Guyanese babu. I am the very best of the Guyanese babu. Oh, Bangali babu. Oh, Guyana babu. Oh, Bangali babu. Oh, Guyana babu. I am going back to Guyana to find me one dullahin for this dullaha. I am going back to Guyana to find me one dullahin for this dullaha. Me say back up, me grip on any go. Me got me come back to Guyana some more. Me say fi back up, me grip on any go. Me got me go back to Guyana some more.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أصبحنا وأصبح الملك لله والحمد لله لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. رب أسألك خير ما في هذا اليوم وخير ما بعده وأعوذ بك من شر ما في هذا اليوم وشر ما بعده. رب أعوذ بك من الكسل وسوء الكبر. رب أعوذ بك من عذاب في النار وعذاب في القبر.
Heavenly Father, as I rise to greet a new day, I humbly come before you with a grateful heart. Thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to experience this day. I surrender my plans and desires to your divine will. Guide me in every step I take, that I may walk in alignment with your purpose for my life. Grant me wisdom, strength, and clarity as I navigate the challenges and blessings that lie ahead. Fill me with your love, grace, and compassion, that I may be a source of light and encouragement to those I encounter. May this day be filled with your presence, and may I reflect your goodness in all that I do. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Good morning to all our viewers joining us locally and in the diaspora. A special good morning to all the persons in the regions, all the government workers. Good morning to you guys. I hope you guys up and out. I was checking the Pixel Guyana cameras, and if you're heading from the west side, you're now heading out. Traffic starting to build up, so try to be careful on the road. Persons heading down from the east bank, the east coast, take your time. a little too much carnage on the roadways, and these things I think are avoidable. It's going to be an exciting show today. As I promised yesterday, I have on our program today former Mayor Patricia Chase Green and current councillor for the PVPC. She is representing the PVPC on the Mayor and City Council of Georgetown, and she will highlight us as we go on in the program in relation to what is happening exactly at City Hall currently. As you remember, we had Don Singh earlier in the week who spoke about the financial situation at City Hall, which it seems to not be heading in a good direction. Not having a budget, um, partial audits, no complete audit for a long period. And as persons in Georgetown would know, City Hall has been lapsing in some areas for some time. Now we want to know where the money is going. So we're going to be talking to the former mayor and current councillor, Patricia Chase Green. And as you know, we'll be going through the paces with other topical things that are happening in and around Guyana. But before, just let's do some housekeeping. Good morning to all the persons who are joining us, who are on the live already. Special good morning to all of you. Um, Gil Eon, Philip Otar, Zaza Ali, good morning to you. Keith Adams, he's always here. Neil Ramlukan, welcome to the program. Chitra Sukraj, Dale Henry, Augustus Andrews, good morning. Data, morning, always here. Blessed good morning to all my Christian, Muslim, and Hindu brothers and sisters. If you're from the Baha'i faith, um, whichever denomination of Christianity you're from, good morning to you. Thank you for joining the program. We got people from Essequibo tuning in here. I see Miss Bridgelal um, already in. Jamila already locked in. Persons already locked in. It's going to be an interesting program. So before I get into or I bring in the former mayor, Patricia Chase Green, there are a few things I wanted to touch on. Now, yesterday, or I should say, it would have been Monday night. I was made aware of because like I said, I don't watch too much of opposition information. Sometimes it's hard to process, but I must touch on David Hines Politics 101. Um, I think this is the episode on Monday where he was sharing the sentiment, or I should say, sharing his perspective on demanding reparations for African Guyanese from the state of Guyana. And while the emotions and historical context behind his argument, um, they're understandable, it is important to address key points and the misconceptions with this statement from David Hines, right? So, first of all, equating Amerindian reparations with African reparations. David suggested that Amerindians receive reparations from maintaining the interior of the country, while Africans should receive reparations for civilizing the coast. It is important to note that the historical experiences of Amerindians and Africans are distinct. Amerindians face significant displacement, violence, and loss of their traditional lands due to colonization, and many reparations provided are not directly equivalent of the coast to the development of the coast by Africans. Now let's look at the complexity of reparations. Reparations are a complex issue involving historical injustices, and their implications require careful consideration. It is not as simple as equating specific contributions to specific monetary compensations. Reparations need to be addressed systematic in a systematic way. It needs to address economic disparities and social injustices stemming from colonization and slavery. Now, I spoke of the historical context. While it's true that Africans played a role in the development of the coast of Guyana, it's essential to recognize that the development was often forced and exploitative. During the era of slavery and colonialism, many Africans were subject to inhumane treatment, forced labor, and economic exploitation. Any discussion of reparations should consider the historical context of these injustices. So instead of making wild statements like David Hines, he should engage with the proper relevant authorities to discuss this matter and come to a amicable solution for all. Now, in relation to the resource distribution, the argument about distributing resources based on size or contribution oversimplifies the complexities of resource allocation. Modern societies must ensure that resource distribution is fair and just for all citizens, regardless of their historical background. And that is what we see in this VVPC administration. Development is not only happening along the coast, but you see government trying to bring um, interior locations who do not have access to as many things as coastlanders on par with coastlanders in relation to education, infrastructure, tourism, housing. We see that effort by the government to, push for equality, whether it's in the hinterland or on the coast. Reparations for all affected communities. Now, while the statement focuses on reparations for African Guyanese, it's important to acknowledge that there are other communities, such as indentured laborers and the indigenous populations, have also been impacted by colonialism and exploitation. So when David Hines makes these remarks, sometimes I wonder if he forgets about those other groups that would have suffered injustices in the colonial times. A comprehensive approach to reparations should be considered to dive to di- considered to diverse historical experiences of all affected groups. Now, in relation to the national unity, the discussion of reparations should aim to foster unity and understanding among different communities within the country. It is important to approach the topic in a way that promotes dialogue, reconciliation, and collaboration, not divisiveness and one race vexed with another, and that kind the way that David Hines in the WPA tends to put things. So I wanted to touch on that and give a little more context to that information put out there by David Hines in relation to reparations for Afro-Guyanese. It needs to be addressed holistically. We had indentured laborers, we had displaced indigenous persons. So if you are going to lobby for reparations, David Hines, it should be you should be lobbying for reparations for Guyanese, not just Afro-Guyanese, right? Not just Afro-Guyanese. Indigenous Guyanese, indentured laborers who all suffered in some way or the other during that period, right? So that's that for me and you, David. I got another little stuff to address with the WPA, but I'll do that after I finish speaking with the counselor who's waiting here. So I'm going to bring in Counselor Chase Green as we continue with the program this morning. Good morning to you, Counselor.
Pleasant good morning to you, Cordell. How are you this morning?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's always good
Mm.
to see you. Always good having a discussion with you, a wealth of knowledge, especially when it comes to 28 to 1. And I think that knowledge that you have is causing, I would use this term, bubble guts. It causing persons to get diarrhea there in City Hall. They don't want you on certain committees. They don't want you to have your input in certain things. Anyway, let's hear it from you. So the council would have had its first statutory meeting. I think it was yesterday,
On Monday the 14th.
Monday, on Monday the 14th,
Mm.
right? Give us a little rundown of what took place at that meeting. How did that engagement go?
Excuse me. That meeting started on Monday the 14th at 2 p.m. It was called to order by the mayor, Mr. Alfred Mentor. Normal pledge, and we went into the agenda of the day. We had a mayor's announcement, and the mayor was very nice in his announcement in saying, "Oh, we're going to work together. We're going to change a new leaf, and let's bury the hatchet and the old thing." The icing on the cake was wonderful. And so we all agreed, yes, we should work together in the interests of the people of Georgetown who voted for us and we were there.
Yeah.
But his words were not his actions.
Wow.
At the
Normal.
on the agenda item 5 was appointment of members, chairman and vice chairman of the following committees, and there were 13 committees. As you are aware, we are 11 councillors.
Correct.
The mayor said that he would like to have 5 members per committee. So I used my knowledge to say to him, 5 members of the committee will not serve the purpose it's intended for, because to have a meeting, you have to have a quorum. If you have 5 persons, 1/3 of the 5 will give you 1 2/3 person. You round it off, you have 2 persons. It is unfair for 2 persons to sit around a table and make a decision, a recommendation on
Mm.
behalf of the other 28 persons. Why
Right.
not move it to 7? After some debate, he agreed, and I moved the motion that we have that the 7 persons per committee. That was agreed by the entire House. And we went on to name the committee, and the first committee was the City Works Committee. And they said 7 persons. They nominated persons in block, six
Mm.
persons. So they only leave 1 seat out for the
Wow.
PPPC. We did nominate Mr. Um, Stephen Jacobs, and he was accepted. And that's a statutory committee. We
Mm.
went on to the other statutory committee, which is the Social Development Committee. Councillor Odwin Ashby nominated myself, and I think Councillor De Young seconded. Oh, and that was where the uproar started. They nominated a 6 in block, and the decides. Well, in the first instance, I said, well, we need to vote 4 persons to make sure that all persons are agreed upon. And they
Right.
did vote individually for all 7 in if the city works. When we went to social development and we went to the vote, they all voted against me. All 19. They used their 19 votes to vote against me so I do not get on the committee. No problem. When they do finish, they started back again where we said as our 7th, as our nominee. They went on and they named 7 persons to the committee and they voted
Wow.
for it. Remember, they have a majority of 19 votes, which they used to their advantage. And it was like that. Wherever I was nominated to be a member of a committee to share my knowledge, I was voted down by them.
Wow.
There is a vendetta against myself by the members of the PNC party that is sitting in council. As far as they're concerned, I should not be a part of anything there. And you've seen it mostly in the men attacking me. Ever so often, the mayor is, the Calypso said the driver can't drive. The mayor is not in control of the committee, of the session. Ever so often,
Right.
he had to stop. Oh, I have to consult with my chief counselor. I have to consult with my chief counselor. And that's how it went. So at the end of the day, after selection for all 13 committees, I think the PPP will only be sitting on 2 committees. While we would have
Wow.
nominated 2 or 3 committees, while we would have nominated persons for committees, in some cases, they've nominated their 7 persons. We went to the individual vote and they voted for all seven of their persons and they voted against us. And that was the trend for Monday. So it is clear to see that while they're saying out there, let's work together in the interest of the people who voted for them, their actions in the committee and the council on Monday did not show that. There was a shared bias that, oh, it's PPP, and we see these people that sit around the horseshoe table as PPP. We don't see them as people who are coming to work in the interest of the development of Georgetown. But
Mm-hmm.
as I would say, we have a mandate. We promised our people while we were campaigning that certain things will be done. We've already started our work and we will continue working. In my community, I have 4 members of the People's National Congress within my community who will be working against me in my community. But I can say I'm a warrior and I will stand up to all 4 of them to do what is to be done in my community.
I can say as
Um,
well that you have done more in that community in the recent before the recent LG elections than those 4 persons there. I've seen roads, I've seen bridges, I've seen sidewalks being done.
Bridges, walkways, mhm.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
those things were there and it could not have been done. And I will say to them, and I will continue to say to them, my track record as mayor would always prove that I was being able to do works within my community. Or they
mm,
said, oh, you don't represent your community. I couldn't represent the community if you weren't helping me. There was no help from any one of them. I
right,
carried elections in 2016 and 2019 in my community, which we won, right?
right.
And if I wasn't working, I would not have been getting the support. This time I've decided the infighting in the People's National Congress will never stop. It will never stop. And they want to transcend that kind of behavior into the council. And you would have seen it on Monday. It is sad to see that the citizens will have to suffer because you're not going anywhere. Everything that is proposed by the other side is shut down by a majority vote from them. And so, therefore, how can we develop Georgetown? How can we
So
go forward?
one of the things that jumped out at me there is when you said they're using their majority vote, because at the national level we often hear that from the opposition side that government is using its majority and government is using its majority, but here we have an example of the opposition doing the exact same thing they're complaining about. Now, I see some of these actions as political immaturity. Um, how do you see this getting any better anytime soon?
At the rate and what I would have witnessed on Monday, I don't see it getting any better. It is sad. We, as a strong 11, will have to work in the interest and continue to do the work that we would have promised our people. I am not going to sit with a council who don't mean to move forward. We have
Right.
got to do our work in the community. We've got to go on the ground. We're on the ground and we're doing works. The finance committee, um, the mayor tried to debunk the things that were said by Don on your program that we are now broke, we have assets, we don't even have, we can't even get an asset register to get us here. It's been
Mm,
years. The last time that the council had a full asset register was in 2005 on the deputy mayor and chairman of
wow.
the finance committee, Mr. Robert Williams.
Wow.
The treasurer's department is supposed to have one of those, a copy of that, so we could have built on it. Now, right presently now they're trying to put together an asset register. You talk about audit, oh, we couldn't get an audit done because we have to get the asset registers. Nonsense. Nonsense. But you still want to spend money. You're still spending money. Your budget for 2023 has not been approved.
Mm,
And there's no rush because, as far as I know, there's no finance committee slated to deal with it. At least to bring what you would have prepared for 2023 to this new council, to this new finance committee, so you can deal with it.
yeah.
Presently, you're in August. Next 2 weeks is September. You're supposed to start doing a 2024 budget so it can be completed according to law by the 15th of November. Unless if you're going to do a follow through with the same budget and send it forward.
Well,
We
well,
have 2 buildings still under construction.
that
You
was another thing
still
I
have to
wanted to
complete.
ask you about. The new
Yeah.
building there in the yard. What's gonna happen with that? Is gonna be another year of it just standing there incomplete.
When questioned, the engineer said that they have the ministry would have asked for some more time because we're working in conjunction with the ministry, and there was some hiccups with the contractor because as far as I'm aware, to the best of my knowledge, we would have paid the contractor, the council would have paid the contractor some money for works to be done. It is being said that the works were done, but there's this rift. I was on a special committee to investigate this matter. It did not come to conclusion because the council would have changed. So that matter was raised on Monday meeting, and we still have to discuss that money. That's a $25 million that we need to sort out
Mm.
before we move forward. Hopefully, that can be addressed to the next finance committee and come to completion. So we move forward with our building. As the engineer says, it is expected that by the end of November, it should be completed.
Okay.
Because
So
the expected completion date has already passed. So they're an
right.
extended time now.
So I wanted to ask you, we've already seen some weak leadership being displayed by Mayor Mentor already. And I have shared on this
Weak
program.
is a mild word. Weak, weak is a very mild word. I think you need something weak. I mean, what I saw there on Monday is that he is not sure of himself, is one. That's my personal opinion. And it's dependent on whatever the chief whip for the party says. He couldn't sit there and determine, well, this is the way I would forward my meeting.
Right.
He's in control. Even though the town clerk would have given some advice, there was no heed given to that advice.
Mm.
But dependent on his chief counselor. And ever so often, and Councillor Young did bring it to his attention, are we going to go through this meeting like this? Ever so often, you have to call on your chief whip for consultation. I thought you would have had your consultation before. And that shows the weakness in how the city is going to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No.
it is sad. It's sad.
Mhm.
I was sorry that Monday's statutory meeting was not live for the citizens to have an example of what is in there. While not all of them have started the rumbling as yet, the majority would have started. And it is sad that the majority that started are men attacking women. The
I was coming
men
to that as
attacking.
well. We noticed this is a trend in that camp. The GS being locked
Yeah,
out of there. The attack on Gita Chandan Edmonds. I mean, what is it with this side and women? I mean, I don't understand
I
it.
honestly don't know. There was no respect shown. On our side, there's two women, myself and Councillor Caesar. I don't know where this hatred for me come from these people because I've left them. If I am not that good for your party, leave me alone. Let me go in peace. Why? If the sight of me sends shivers down these people's spine. As soon
Remember
as I
Patricia
get up,
Chase Green, you know. Remember Patricia Chase Green. So that is what hurting them, you know. That is what hurting them. The fact
it
that you
is
made
sad.
a choice, it's rough. It's rough on them.
I am
Because
an independent woman.
I think they
I know
expect
I've had
blind
enough.
loyalty from you. Blind loyalty for you to close your eyes and you just walk into wherever they send you. I don't know.
I am an independent woman. I am certain of what I wanted, and I could not have stayed into that environment any longer. There was no moving forward with them, and there will be no moving forward with the type of behavior that is being displayed.
Right.
You have got to sit around there to make decisions that is going to benefit the people that voted for you. At the rate they're going, as far as they're concerned, the PPP must have no say in Georgetown. And the chief whip did say, this is Georgetown. This is Georgetown. So what? Because it is Georgetown, do better. You
Right.
had 5 years already sitting there, 4 plus 5 years with your former mayor. Show me one project that you would have put forward. You would have had policies being done. The abattoir is in a terrible state. You can't get sanitary meat out in the market as you would like to have it. It's not
Yeah.
done properly. Hmm? The training school. And interesting, the mayor is the chairman, and most of the committees he was nominated to be a member of. All right, good, we go forward, because that happened during the previous mayorship, because they were in control of government and they were in control of the council. So they changed all the wrong, the things that were happening there, so they could have got full control while they were there at the level of the council.
Mm,
So
mm.
having done that, then they think it is the right thing. So it is forward. There was a precedent set, and so they're moving forward with the same thing. We say, okay, fine. For me, draw the rope around your neck to hang yourself. But is it in the interest of the people? You have the training school, investment and development. They want to, they want to, the last time I know there were tenders out. That is prime property. We have a city constabulary that needs right now is understaffed.
I
We
know
need
people
to
who
do
applied for
recruitment.
that and they got no responses yet for the city constabulary.
We need to do recruitment. The city constabulary had a dorm there also, that when you take people from the country or wherever, they stay there, they do the training and everything there. Why? And there's a waterfront there. Why would you want to put that out? The abattoir, it's been under repair for how long? These are the important things that you need to sit and look. You're not saying that outside to the citizens, hmm?
They're more
But
interested
you're
in fighting
sitting there
you.
to condemn one woman, because all of their energies was used on me at the last statutory meeting. It's sad to say, very sad to say, they're using their energies in the wrong direction. I am
So
just one person,
there's not a
and even if I
focus.
sit on a committee,
Mm,
even a PPP member sitting on a committee, they will be outvoted by them.
exactly.
You will make,
It's just one
right,
person.
you can make your contribution, but you will be outvoted by them if they don't like it. And when it comes to the full council for full council approval, it will be outvoted by them because they're 19 in numbers. And they're using that 19 to their full advantage,
That's
to
what I was
the
explaining to someone earlier too.
to the
Despite
detriment
whatever,
of the citizens of Georgetown.
right, whatever
They're
suggestions are
suffering
put
the
forward
citizens.
by the 11 PVPC councillors, no matter what they put forward, they don't have the voting power to make it happen. They could only put forward suggestions. And I continue to say, we've seen over the years um, PNC operatives acting not in the interest of the city. Now, I spoke about weak leadership. I can't find a better word right now. But you spent a long time on the council. Have you ever seen anything of this nature from a male, this sort of behavior? We all know Ubraj could be deemed the worst mayor ever in Georgetown. Worst mayor ever in Georgetown. But did you see the same kind of lack of leadership, indecisiveness um, in the former mayors?
Um, what I say, the best of two evils. Let me tell you something.
Oh boy.
Um, if you're looking at the leadership of you, Braj, and the leadership of Mentor, from what I would have seen on Monday, on a scale of 1 to 10, um, Mentor is at 0. You, Braj, may have gone to 3 or 4, because you, Braj, would have made his decision point blank. Well, I said this is what's gonna happen. Me the
Make
business, me the
sense or
business.
not?
Yeah, and that what me say, and that's it. Because you know how he speaks when he gets in annoyed, it's worse. And we have grown accustomed to that. But every 5 or 10 minutes, you got to stop this meeting to have consultation with somebody else to decide if you're moving forward with this matter. I mean, it's unacceptable.
Right.
It's the poorest. Any other child, it would have been sad. As when I visited Jamaica and I visited Jamaica Council, there's always a youth council, and these persons are gathered from different secondary schools, and they sit in the same position to follow what is going on. So as the years go by, persons will become acquainted with the law and know what's happening. So if you happen to
Right.
go into the council, you're already acquainted with it. It would have been sad to see you had a youth council there on Monday to see that display of what
Wow.
took place. Very, very,
Wow.
very, very weak leadership, very, very weak display of the elected persons who have no clue to what their role is, number one. And as the Mayor Alfred Mento did ask the town clerk that they should have an orientation for them. Because already we're having reports are coming in that councillors from the opposition um, is already on the road, especially when markets are so telling vendors what to do or move in, but they put vendors here, put vendors in. It is alleged they've been doing that, and that's not their role. Their role is if they have a problem, that they direct their problem with the mayor. The mayor, in turn, will discuss that with the town clerk, and the relevant officer for the particular issue will deal with it. But this one, because if you have 30 councillors running to all senior officers to get this chaos. So there is a system, but we've already seen them not using the system.
No, no, no. What is the way forward, Counselor? We've seen the display already by these PNC operatives in the council. What is the way forward for the PPP councillors in terms of trying to, although it might be a hard task, but to get these PNC councillors on board with development in a bipartisan mode, looking out for the interests of the citizenry of Georgetown. Do you think that is something we could look forward to in the near future? Um, I think I heard you mention there are some councillors who are a bit open to working with PPPC councillors. Do you think yourself, Don Singh, Stephen Jacobs, Mr. Diarmos, you already will be able to finesse these PNC councillors into some sense so that they operate in a better manner?
I don't think so. The bottom line for these councillors that sit there is that they're in opposition to the PPP. They only see us as PPP, and they need to fight the PPP whatever and wherever. And so that's their focus. Their
Yeah.
focus is to fight. We, as a more matured team, will try our best. And even if though we are not on most of the majority of the committees, we are not on, those who are there to represent the committees will ensure that whatever is said is recorded. All our proposals must be recorded. And when it comes to the full council, we'll ensure that whatever we propose is recorded. At the end of the day, they cannot say the PPP councillors did not work.
Right.
We are going to try our best because we are more matured. You have a set of immature people. People who would have held offices as CEO and all of that, but the immaturity that they bring to the council and their behavior pattern is totally unacceptable. At one time, you thought it was a fish market, all because I was nominating to sit on a committee. I mean, I against six, but as I said, because of my knowledge and my institutional memory in that council, it will deter a lot of them for the way they want to do things.
Mm, mm,
So I will be there and I will say, no, this can't happen. This is how it should happen. Or this, they don't want that.
right.
They don't
Right.
want that. They've
right,
come with a new mindset to we empower, we run Georgetown. And they said so in no uncertain terms. I said, this is Georgetown. This ain't gonna happen like Bartek and Amadia. We run things here. You don't run anything here. You're there to make policies.
the one good
You're
thing
there to
about that
make
statement
policies.
that they made, it's not like George, Bartik and Madia, is that actually conceding to losing Bartik and Madia. You understand? So I'm actually surprised that they would make
Hmm?
such a statement because they don't give up when they lose. Anyway,
Good.
counselor, in relation to your time on the council, um, I know that during your tenure as mayor, you would have displayed great leadership, but without support. Do you see this council, or and then too, we have to look at the fact that the PNC has no money. Where are they getting the support from? If this council continues to operate in this manner, how are they going to raise funds? How are they going to um because they keep asking for more subvention. How are you going to show central government, hey, we're using this money in an efficient manner? Give us some more to help us along. Um, are there any plans from the PPPC side to probably raise funds or increase the revenue of the council so that the council is able to function on its own and take up its responsibilities?
When we sit as a team, because Don Jainarayan Singh, Councillor Jainarayan Singh is our representative on the Finance Committee. When we sit in a caucus, we will discuss the way forward, how we think we can gain revenue and things like that.
Mhm, mhm.
He could take that proposal. It is left now to the other 6 members to accept that proposal and bring it to the council.
Right,
But as Don would have asked, what is your current income now coming to the council? And where
right,
is this money being spent? Who are the persons we owe and how much do we owe them? Unless I don't, he doesn't know that, he's saying we can't move, which is a fact.
right,
Because the only other members there that are old members that would know what happened in the previous council would have been, I think, Councillor Hines and and the mayor mentor. They were there
right,
previously. No, the others, I don't think anybody. I think Councillor Ferguson. No, the other three for them are like sailors. They have no clue to where the finances is, especially the chairman,
right,
who is Mr. Saul. He's a sailor. So for him to move forward, just like Don and everybody else, you got to say what you have. You got to say where you're getting it from. How do you get it? Who do we owe? You owe GPL more than $1 billion. You owe GRA. You owe NIS.
wow,
You owe contractors. I know they've owned contractors since 2018. Small
wow,
contractors. They're still on the list. We've some have taken us to court. They would have given us judgment. And because we failed to pay on time, the court would have awarded a 6% interest on that money. And the people are demanding it. So it is sad. It is sad. But they're still trying to debunk all these things, right? The reality is there. And so they have to bring that to the floor. Let's face it and move forward and look
yeah,
at other ways and means of how to gain revenue.
yeah, yeah,
But the law was quite clear in 2801, and it says the council must manage by its own revenue. And that's why you would have seen the council, I would have ventured off. I know this is a sore point, and that's now shelved. They're not dealing with that anymore. To look at the parking meters for money. That is
right,
shelved, and we took that. But the council had authority to do that. We have shelved that now. We know that is no longer coming back into existence. But they have to look at other matters, other areas where you can open for revenue. Even
but
though we don't have lots of parks and gardens, there's a small fee to those things.
right, right. But we're seeing that the focus is not on the issues of the city. It's their personal vendetta against you for a personal choice that you've made. So the time that
Right.
they took to fight you could
Hmm.
have been discussing garbage, audits, city constabulary and recruiting. the abattoir getting that fixed,
because
the something.
because as recent as the Monday statutory meeting, um, the city treasurer acting has asked for early retirement, and that comes into effect if the local government commission accepts her request for early retirement. She goes off on the first of November. The
Okay.
city treasurer department will be one less, and they will have no treasurer. You have to know to look for somebody to appoint. You have to advertise for all of that.
Right.
There are vacancies, senior vacancies, that we need to look for and to fill those vacancies. But you hear them coming with all sorts of things. It's just a personal attack. Deal with the issues that you are there to deal with. Manage the city. Make policies for the city and move forward. Don't worry with Chase Green. Chase Green can do nothing on her own, unless if I do it in my community with
Right.
my own finances, which I used to have been doing. We will do it in the community. Deal with the issues that are before you, and there are lots of issues. There's lots of issues. You would have recently heard dengue with the mosquitoes,
Right.
dengue
Yes.
fever.
Yes.
I've read yesterday and I've seen people circulating. There is a new strain of the COVID, I would have read.
Yeah.
And I don't know if our Ministry of Health is aware of it or so, but I saw that on the Facebook and I saw people sending it around and telling you to be safe, wear your mask or whatever. Those are things that you need in a city to deal with. Public health issues are many. Our clinics, you have what? 4 midwives running up and down, Albistown, Festival City, South Road. Some days those nurses are tired. We need nurses.
Yeah.
We need midwives to look at our children, our prenatal clinic. Social Development Committee, you've got to set, you had a chairman for the last 4 years because I was chairman in 2019 to 20. And then they removed me when they started with the vendetta. They removed me and they put another counselor who did nothing, nothing during his tenure. Now you have a new brand man going there as a chairman. But where does he start?
Yeah.
How does he start? I was asked to serve in the committee, which I had no problem in serving, but they refused my service, and I have no problem. I can still serve my community. I am there, and I will be their nightmare every statutory meeting. I will be their nightmare
Oh boy.
because there's nothing inclusive of the mayor that can say to me on the history of the council anything. I have the institutional knowledge. I know what happened. I know what was going. I could recall some of the matters going to court, issues with other upon issues that we have dealt with. And the first thing they sit at the council to throw to me, and that's why I mentioned it earlier, and I just said it is that issue is shelved, is the parking meter. That's the first thing they open them out. But I would say to them, the parking meter was not that I wake up one morning and said I'll put parking meters in the city of Georgetown. That was a decision taken at the highest level. It was
Right.
discussed, and we met with the Attorney General, we met with um, Ministry of Tourism, we met with GRA, we met with all agencies, and the records will show. The minister and everything, the records will show. Cabinets, the records will show.
Yeah. On the issue of
The-
employment, now, I spoke with you yesterday, and you made me aware that
mm,
the council can recommend um, employment, punishment, dismissal, but it has to come down from the local government commission. I think you said the implementation of the recommendation of the council. Is that correct?
Yes, the Local Government Commission Act gives the local government authority. And that's why I said at this last statutory meeting when um, the present town clerk is supposed to proceed and leave sometime next month, and the council is asking for her to stay, I got up on a point of order to say clearly to them that while they can ask for her to remain, It has to
Mm,
be agreed by the local government commission because they would have already approved her leave. So
right,
the minutes of that meeting and the vote that was taken on that has to go to the local government commission for consideration to know if they will keep her back
right.
to serve in this transition period and then let her go off on leave. The same with the treasurer. I've asked them on the point of order that when we're sending the minutes, we also said to the local government commission, this is the situation in the treasurer's department because um, after this present treasurer, if it is agreed upon and she goes off on her early retirement, I think it's only the accounting manager who would have served as a city treasurer before, but then was replaced back to the original position by the local government commission. Would you want to put him back there, or would you fill the vacancy and finish? Because we've been with acting treasurers for quite some time. It's time the
Mm.
position be advertised, interviews be done, and the position filled.
So, my point I wanted to get across or ask you, because I see Paul here, like he jumping out the boots. Now, I understand that the commission has to approve, but are the recommendations being made or are applications being sent to the commission for these persons to be vetted and, employed with the council? You have any idea?
Most times when those applications come, in some cases when we do it, the application says quite clearly it should be sent to the Ministry of Local Government.
Mm,
Some make or sometimes it comes to the town clerk. The local government commission normally sends on the day of the interview, would normally send a representative from the Ministry of Local Government over to the City Council, where the Human Resource Committee will form a subcommittee to do the
mm,
interviews of those persons. Based on the score, because there's a kind of score sheet, there's a formula that is used. Based on that, a determination is made by the committee. And all of that information, along with the score sheets, is sent to the local government commission. And they will determine if they agree with the recommendation you made to appoint that person.
okay,
That's
okay.
how it is done.
Now, in relation to the audits, um,
Hmm.
it, is it a case where the mayor has to initiate the audit, or somebody else has to initiate or request that City Hall is audited?
As far as over the years, as far as I know, the mayor doesn't have to initiate it. A citizen could ask that an audit be done at City Hall for some other reason. The council can ask for an audit to be done.
Mm,
And they know that every year they're supposed to do the financial statement and all of that. They're supposed to know that. The auditor general could come in and do an audit at any time. But
right.
as we said, there have been partial auditing over the years. At one time, I can't recall the years, but we would have done, I think, if my memory serves me right in this one, because we were doing a year-to-year audit, might have been since when? Royce would have been able to get a direct answer for that, I think, because we were doing it year to year, and then we had to stop because the Auditor General office had some work to do.
Right.
But it can be initiated by people because remember, taxpayers are paying their money and they would like to know how their money is being spent. And so they can ask. And you've seen it over and over, taxpayers asking for it.
I want to jump in quick before I let you go. I do remember of a fire. I think it was at the training school some time ago, uh, and as some documents were burnt. If it is that an audit is initiated, do you think there's a paper trail from the years going back that the auditors have to make a true assessment of what has been going on there? Is there a paper trail in terms of the city hall keeping documents over the years?
What I can recall, over the years, there was an archives at the trading school. There was a part of the trading school in Water
Mhm.
Street, the City Constabulary Trading School, that was known as the archives where all records were being kept. Um, to be honest, we would have been trying during Hamilton Green's tenure and my tenure to do it electronically, but it was very costly to have those information transfer. Some of the paper got very brittle because of years.
Mm.
Because when you went into the archives, you would have found from the very first mayor, and that's how we knew in 1966 they would have been moving forward with um, the parking meter, and then it was put on hold. You would have seen that the first vendors that came out to sell at the border market, and that's from the history, and it was the people who sell coals. They were the first persons who came out on the pavement to sell.
Mm.
You would have seen the records of all the previous mayors there.
Mm.
To tell you the condition of that now, it's in a horrible state.
Oh
Because
boy.
not only fire would have destroyed some, there would have been water soak and all of that.
Wow.
But the council has a very rich history. And we need to understand, we need to care that history.
Right.
But as I've said before, and I'll say it here, and I have no apologies, the council is at its worst now. And we've seen the deterioration not by anybody else other than the opposition,
Mm. Mm.
other than the opposition. They have destroyed the council because in 2019 it was Massabol Massacre. So whatever the mayor then did was quite right with it. Whatever the calf did was quite right with the cow. They
Right.
approve it. They didn't care what law says. And I'm appalled that sometimes when I listen to them and the law, you never follow the law. You never allowed him to follow the law. You broke the law and everything. You broke the law when you agreed that Pigeon Island was part of Georgetown, that you have to send your security guard to Pigeon Island. You agree that there was so many things that you broke the law in, and now you coming back to tell us about law. Come on, man, come on. But that's
Hypocrisy.
past. That's behind
Duplicity.
us. To the
Yes.
highest.
Yes.
That is behind
Indeed.
us.
Indeed.
We were hoping that we can turn a new page, a brand new council, a new page. And so we move forward, making Georgetown this beautiful place that we want it to be. Look around and see what's happening. Look at what the government is doing. Look at the boulevard. Look at the bridges, the sidewalks, the drainage. Look at all the works that we're doing. Look at the seawall. While the council doesn't have any authority over the seawalls, the council at one time, and I know for sure, and I could vouch for that, used to collect revenue from the vendors out there.
Right.
The council used to collect revenue from there. But then because of what we were hearing and what we were seeing on the ground and the revenue that was coming in was not making any sense because you got a set of vendors out there, but the revenue that it wasn't making sense. And so under the
Money
mayorship
short.
of Hampton, we
Money
stopped it.
short.
It's gone. And even as it is now, the council can still make, and I said that to them, can still have an earning from those people on the seawalls by ensuring that all those persons are registered,
Right.
they have the food handlers, and they're trained. Their food handler certificate is every 6 months. So if you have a rigid public health officer to make sure you go out one day and start checking where's your food handlers? Is it valid? Do your workers do your workers have your food handlers? Were you registered?
Mm.
You can still have a revenue there,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
even
And
though it
that's
doesn't
what we
come under the
should.
control. The allocation of those spots don't come under the control of the council, comes under control of the Ministry of Works, because the high water level mark is where the Ministry of Works comes. So the seawall don't come under the council. And
Right.
there was a prior arrangement that I've always known of where the ministry would hire a cleaner to clear the seawalls with garbage or so. Maybe sometimes we come in and help or so, but there's always that.
Right.
Say for Easter, if we want to earn revenue during Easter time by selling spots, we have to write to the ministry for permission
Mm.
to sell spots on the seawall to gain revenue. And they have always granted us that. But recently, because the seawall was under construction, and so we have not been doing that. But there are ways and means of how it can be done. But will they sit to the table to listen to us, to deal with it? Because all you're seeing now is a personal thing. This is personal.
Yeah, yeah.
And the citizens don't count anymore.
I just
Georgetown not for sale, Georgetown not for sale. I hope it is not for sale under the Investment and Development Committee. I hope it is not for sale under the Investment and Development. Because I
is the
need
mayor
to remind them. I
is the
need to
mayor
remind them. I need to remind them that the Honorable Minister Nigel Darren did send a letter to the town clerk
Mhm.
about our selling and leasing of our public and open spaces. And so therefore, they've still been going ahead. There's not a single open space that have not been come to an application have not come to the council for. But the town clerk is not allowed to lease it out. But let's look and see what's happened because the campaign was Georgetown is not for sale. And as I said to them the other day when they were at the meeting, I wonder if there's anything left for sale at the rate they were going.
So
But
so please just give me a second here. I just want to deal with one issue. We have a gentleman here. I don't know if you know him, a Mr. Philip Drayton. I think he was the candidate for the PNC in constituency one, which he lost. Mind you, now he's here. The fact that he's on the council, imagine he is calling you, who's sitting on the council, voiceless. Mr. Philip Drayton, who lost his area. Mr. Philip Drayton, who has nothing to offer anybody. He can't even offer recommendation on the council. The waste of a Philip Drayton. You understand me? Can't even offer recommendation. He can't even be the one person holding a seat on the council or one of the six that they nominated and coming here to talk nonsense. The people didn't like you, Philip. They didn't vote for you. Get away from here. Please continue, Ms. Chase Green.
that's the hope. That's the hopelessness they talk about. He was hopeless in his community. That's the hopelessness we talk about, and that is it. And I'm glad it's coming from him that we don't have I don't have a voice. They have shown it that the PPP will not have a voice in the council. So
Exactly.
he's just showing out the cards on the table. He was dealt one of the cards, but because of their hopelessness, because of his hope, and I don't know him, and I don't care to know him because he's not important. If not, people would have voted
Non-entity.
for him.
Non-entity. The name Patricia Chase Green is known across this country. Who's a Philip Drayton? The people even want to vote for you. You understand? Philip, you can't eat. You don't even have a place to go and ramble. Sir, you don't even have a place
As
to
I
go and
said,
ramble.
Mr. Drayton must know I've been there, I've done that. I've represented this country at all levels as mayor and as a councillor, as mayor
Yeah.
and as secretary of the Guyana Association of Municipalities. I presently serve as the third vice president of the Caribbean Association of Local Government Authorities.
Wow.
So, Mr. Drayton, don't even step there. And what
Joker.
I've done for my country in representation, you can never do it. And you will not be able to do it, not in the next 3 years, unless they're sorry for you and bring you in as a PR. So don't
And
even worry with me, Mr.
I
Drayton.
doubt it. Because the boy has no clout, no influence, no
Good.
finesse, nothing. Just a joker. Just a joker, fishy looking joker. Anyway, Miss Green, Miss Chase Green, thank you for joining me this morning and bringing some clarity to what is happening on the council. Because you're a councillor, unlike some other persons, you're here, so you know what's happening. So you're informed. You understand? So I guess it's you I have to turn to for information. The other councillors who made it, who were voted in to that city council, not persons who couldn't cut the card. You understand? Thank you for being here this morning and sharing with the public. It's always good to have you as persons who have said in the comments a wealth of knowledge and institutional knowledge about City Hall. So once again, thank you and continue your fight and your good works that you've been doing in your community and continue to fight in City Hall despite um the other side and what they might be putting up to you. I know that your fellow councillors will be there to back you and ensure that despite all the rhetoric that they're putting out there on that side, um, despite all the useless people like Philip Drayton, who has no purpose in his life. I wonder if he's working. You gotta go to work, boss. You understand? They can't equate to you. So thank you again for being on the program and do have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for having me, Cordell. And I hope that the listeners would have heard Mr. Drayton say that we are voiceless. And so they know for sure now it's not only coming from the 19 in there, but it's coming even from those on the outside. But I'm a
Exactly.
strong woman, and there's nothing like the things said by Mr. Drayton can break me. You got to come better than that. I've known my worth, and I've exercised my worth in my community. I can work anywhere. I'm a qualified nurse midwife, a qualified safe occupation safety and health officer. So, Mr. Drayton, please find somebody else. Don't use the energy on me. Find
Ah,
it. Go somewhere.
Joker.
I have a voice in the council. You don't. And you have said just now, you have just said that I am voiceless, but I can still speak. You have to thank Cordell that you can able to come and voice your opinion in his program that
And
would have allowed you.
yeah, and you're about to not be able to, because I right now looking to block you. 'Cause I don't like you at all. Useless individual, waste of time. Can't even take a good
No,
photo. He's a photographer that can't even take a good photo. Worries. So yeah, I'm about to block him. I don't want him here anymore. But again, Miss Chase Green, thank you for
don't
coming
block
through.
him.
It
Don't
was
give
really great.
hello. Cordell, I say I don't give those people the time and the energy. They don't serve the purpose. You don't use the energy in them. You allow them to
Man, I'm
speak.
going into a critic mode. We want no nonsense
That's to
over
show
here.
that's to show the level of persons that they have chosen in the council. Instead, he come with something for constituency one, which you have lost. Instead, you come here to say, I would have been like to do X, Y, and Z if I was sitting in the council. Good. And constituency
Mm.
one, he lost it after his very good friend. Good. And the last time the constituency one representative got how many votes? 400 votes? I can't even remember.
Oh my
Good.
god, Philip, I can't even see where you're looking at the live from. There's so much places we're streaming from. I can't find you. But as the former mayor said, I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave you here so you can hear all the good things government is doing
Let's
and the
gain some
progress.
knowledge. Leave him to gain some knowledge.
Aye,
Knowledge that he
right.
doesn't have. Let's teach him what the council is about. Let's teach him.
Right. Right.
I would like to ask him to ask his comrades that sit around that table, how many of them, since they have been appointed as councillors for the city of Georgetown, has purchased or download 2801 on their phone so they can refer to it on matters or they can read
No,
it on
no.
issues. Because I hear people are asking, what are their entitlements? There are no entitlements. You have no entitlement. You're a councillor. You're being given a stipend,
But Mr.
and you're
Drayton have to
expected
give his banner
to serve.
because he lost the election. Um,
Hmm?
somebody very close to that party told me Mr. Drayton not to chalk up his money for his big Venale banner because he lost the
Mhm.
elections. He had to pay for it. So things tight over there, Philip. Things tight. Anyway, Madam Mayor, I'm not gonna keep you anymore. Thank you for being here with us, and please, we would love to invite you again pretty soon. Hopefully, I have the time to come and share with the public what's going on in there. So, thanks again for being here.
Thanks, and thank you again, Cordell, for having me. I'm willing to come and share what's happening in the council until we decide that we can go live and everybody can see and understand what they would have voted for and the representation they're getting in there. Thank you also for coming, and you would have seen the works that I would have done, the bridge, the walkway by the Uncle Eddie's home, the um, the bridge by Turning Point, the rails that were being done, um, all the walkways in Lemaha Park that joins the Festival City. We are happy that we can do works. We have
Yeah.
some play fields in our area that we'll continue to move forward to do. So, right? And we will continue as a strong PPP team. And as I said, if I am for you, I am for you. And I've decided after many years to leave the People's National Congress because there was no movement after a while. There was no progress. I am tired of the infighting and I have no apologies because if they look within themselves, they can see they're still fighting. They've come to the
Yeah.
council where you would have appointed a mayor and he cannot sit there and make a decision without having another consultation. Every 10, 15 minutes, he got to break the council session to have consultation to decide on where he's going forward. So it means he's not even certain of the seat he's sitting in. And let's hope that he can sit in it after the first year, because after every year there's an internal vote.
Right.
So he gotta go. He gotta go with the tide to hope that he sits there again. I don't have to hope to go with no tide. My loyalty lies with the PPP, and I have no apologies to make for it because I've seen
Amen.
development in my community. I've seen it. As mayor, I worked and they can check the records. I got no support from the government, none. The then government came in to support the new mayor in paying the garbage collectors at the end when he was taking over.
Mm,
But
mm.
during my tenure, let them check. Let them check. And they said that the council is indebted. The council, the works of the council is continuous. We have to take over from, I took over from Hammy. I took over debts. I took over city from Hammy. And we have to continue doing it. But
Yeah.
what you do within the space of time between the end of um, April 1st, 2016 to December 2018, let them check my records. Let them check my records. And they can see I was the only mayor that during that flood time in 2017-18, the city did not flood. The records will show we didn't have flooding. There was flooding, but the water did not, you couldn't drive through all the water that you were driving through. I would
Yeah.
have cleared the whole entire square. I would have put down, there's so many things I would have done. The kitty market that we hold our meetings in, that was repaired under my tenure. And the history will show that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Drayton, even though I'm voiceless, according to you, I'm action oriented in whatever I do.
Exactly. We're not about the talk.
It's not about the talk, my dear. It's not about the talk, it's about the
Not-
action. And the PPP
Yeah.
don't talk, we do action. And you will see the action in the city.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
All right, Mayor. Take care. Have a great day.
You have a great day too. Thanks again, Cordia.
All right. So that was former mayor and now councillor Patricia Chase Green giving you a rundown on the first statutory meeting of the Georgetown and City Council. Jillian, listen, if I didn't have a donkey the day prepared already, I would have given it to him. You understand me? But I got one prepared. I got one prepared. So we're not going to be able to get into all the other content that we have today. So I'm just going to run right in to my donkey of the day for today, the 16th of August, 2023. And today, the donkey of the day goes to none other than Miss Rhonda Lane. Donkey of the day is Miss Rhonda Lane. Now, if you don't know Rhonda Lane, Miss Rhonda Lane is from the WPA. Now, let me share with you why I felt like Miss Rhonda Lane needed to have the donkey of the day. Now, she's part of the Working People's Alliance, and she made several disparaging remarks about Islam and how Islam treats women in the religion. So, Rhonda Lane, an executive member of the WPA, made remarks at the Coffee 250 Committee Forum that were offensive and disrespectful towards Islam. She implied that the religion oppresses women and limits their role to homemaking and childbearing, which is completely untrue, right? This, I feel, is a dangerous narrative. Lane's comments could be seen as perpetuating a dangerous and misinformed narrative about Islam and its treatment of women. Such narratives contribute to misunderstanding and division within society. And we saw this too with the former mayor. Ubraj Narain, as a Hindu, trying to cause a rift between Hindus and Muslims over a vending issue outside the country's premier health facility, right? Now, this is something that is a norm coming out of the WPA, right? The WPA has faced criticisms before from making offensive racial incendiary remarks. Earlier this year, the party faced backlash for such behavior, including referring to individuals and groups that criticized them as slave catchers. So coming back to David Hines again, we should have multiple donkeys of the day. Rather than David both y'all who will live for me, right? Coming back to David Hines again, David Hines, another WPA member, responded to the criticisms by individuals and organizations that condemned the offensive remarks as slave catchers. Now, if y'all remember, there were a few PNC MPs, along with the Mayor Ubraj, who came out and voiced their unhappiness with the statements made by Mr. Ogunse. I remember Miss Gita Chandan Edmonds was one of them as well. And David Hines on his program Politics 101 decided to berate the people calling them slave catchers and all this sorts of nonsense. This is the unity that the coalition trying to spread in Guyana, right? David Hines targeted members of the opposition, particularly those of Indo descent who spoke out against the offensive remarks made by his fellow WPA member Takama Ogunse. This targeting reinforces the division along racial lines and political lines that is being put out there by the coalition. This sort of divisive language, the use of the term slave catcher to describe individuals who express dissenting opinions, portrays the lack of respect and respect for differing point of views and contributes to a climate of hostility in this country. Racism and hate, the actions and the languages used by the WPA members, including derogatory terms and incendiary rhetoric, can be interpreted as promoting racism, hate, division within the Guyanese society. And this has a serious impact on society, Guyanese society. Such actions and language have a potential to perpetuate mistrust, discrimination, and resentment along various ethnic and religious lines in Guyanese society. So it's not a case of the WPA, the PNC, AFC trying to bring people together. It's just division all the time. Right? The negative party image, and that's the thing. It's like they don't care about winning new support to the party, getting new members. They care about those who are there, their old way of thinking and doing things. That's all that's important. The repeated incidents of offensive remarks and divisive behavior not could, but is tarnishing the reputation of the Working People's Alliance. And they are alienating potential supporters who value inclusivity and respectful discourse. So again, we see that nowhere in the future there's a possibility of the WPA winning an election because they continue to alienate sections of the Guyanese society with their comments and their nonsense. The importance of respectful dialogue is very, very, very important. Political parties play a crucial role in shaping public opinion and social harmony. Respectful dialogue and open discussions are essential to fostering understanding and cooperation among diverse groups. And we saw this when Secretary Blinken was here, where he encouraged the opposition to get involved in constructive criticism or in constructive dialogue. You understand? Get involved in constructive politicking to put it simple, right? So run the lane from the WPA. You hold the donkey of the day from Livewire. Hold the donkey of the day from the Livewire, right? Anyway, that's my time, folks. It was wonderful being here with you. A special thanks to our sponsors, iSecure Security Service Inc. Remember, you're secure with iSecure. And also, we have the Builders First Choice Construction Company, making sure that we're with you here every morning from 7 to 8, and sometimes a little beyond. Again, I'd like to thank the former mayor for finding some time this morning to be on the program. Always a wealth of knowledge. And like I said, 2801 is something she knows like the back of her hand. So you can rest assured that a lot of the foolishness that they try to push in the council, they will not be able to, because our councillor, Miss Patricia Chase Green, will be there to ensure that the correct protocols and processes are followed. Don't forget, this Sunday, 3 to 4, the reality check is on with Quincy Anderson. This week, he'll be having the fire chief, Mr. Gregory Wickham, and they'll be discussing various aspects of fire prevention and they got great competition for donkey in the day. It's all wrong. Trouble. So they'll be discussing fire prevention, how persons can join the fire service, things that people can do to not come home and meet your building in ashes. So that would be an interesting program for you to check out this Sunday from 3 to 4. Okay. Other than that, it was really great being with you. I'd like to remind persons in Region 6 that the 21st is the closing date for this training in relation to heavy duty equipment operators. And please take full advantage of this opportunity to be trained in this field, as there is a great requirement for heavy duty equipment operators in the country right now. A booming construction sector, oil and gas, all these things happening, gold still kicking, farming. So you need persons to operate these type of machinery to move the development of Guyana forward, right? So that is it for me today. It was really wonderful being with you guys. I hope you guys, if you're at work, I hope you have a productive day. If you're at home, I hope that everything is in order in relation to what you're cooking today. And the ladies or the men at home, you're getting to your cleaning duties. Be safe on the roads, be safe in the house. The kids should be getting back to school in just a little bit. So all that noise that you're dealing with at home is going to be gone just in a few. So again, that's all for now. Thank you guys for joining me. This is Courdel Jones saying goodbye until next time.
Cde Anderson. I love my country. There's no other country better than mine. Welcome to Guyana, land of 6 races, 6 different faces, and we all live in love. Guyana is a beautiful country, no other can compare. Got everything right here, so no other can compare. Guyana is made up of so many natural resources. We don't need no forces, cause we got enough resources. Let's talk about bauxite, gold, diamond, and rice. We got it right here. Guyana ain't going nowhere. We got enough oil too. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. Hey. Guyana is nice, Guyana is fun, Guyana is clean, Guyana is green, Guyana got oil, Guyana got gold, Guyana got young and Guyana got old. I ain't talking no more, Guyana got things